Hello everybody, this is Lollypop 01 MLE here today, aka Emily, here today, and welcome to another episode of Lollypop Speed Art. Yes, I'm trying something new here. I'm adding a title sequence and of course the promotions to subscribe to my channel. But you know, I usually do that at the end. But in today's episode, if you cannot tell by the photograph, no, this is no ordinary celebrity, no ordinary teenage celebrity. We're going into the 1940s here today, 1930s, 1940s, technically. This lady is, well, she was a famous child actress, and she was known as Shirley Temple. Now, everyone pretty much knows who the heck Shirley Temple is. I don't need explaining here. She was a famous child actress back in the 1930s. She got her start in doing short films when she was like 3. And we know she's most famous for her ringlets, which are these very tight curls. Not like coils, but they were princess curls. But anyways, I pretty much know her from The Little Princess, which was one of her films that she did. That was like the peak of her popularity as a star. But she was more, again, like I said, she was a child star for the most part. But did you know that she did have a career outside of being a child actress? We pretty much know that she was offered the role of being Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, which we know that was later given to Judy Garland. And that ended up being one of her breakout films. But with Shirley, it wasn't completely true. It wasn't the whole thing about her not doing The Wizard of Oz. It was declined, and it wasn't. It's something to do with the studio or something like that. But anyways, another one of her famous bits that she did was Curly Top, and it featured the one song that you guys know as like Animal Crackers in My Soup, which is one of her famous tunes. But back onto her adults, more teen adult stuff, and basically the studio was convinced that Shirley Temple would move away from being a child star to a teen actress, and it was okay. She did have an okay career as a preteen and adult and teenager, but she did retire from acting in 1950 when she was about 22 years old. And speaking of that, she was, for those that don't know, she was born on April 23rd, 1928, so that's why I pretty much, you do math here. So the photograph I referenced here for teenage Shirley Temple is this photograph here, and I had to quickly verify that this was Shirley Temple, and yes, it is her as a teenager, and she probably was wearing makeup and her eyebrows were filled in. So one of the big things that a lot of people like to speculate is Shirley Temple rumors about, like, because of her popularity as a kid, there were a lot of propagandas of myths and rumors. And basically there was one is about her talent in dancing, and as a way to do that, she to explain how she knew book and wing dancing as a kid, she was enrolled for 2 weeks at the Elsa Ryan School of Dancing. And then there were false claims that Shirley Temple was not a kid at all, but a dwarf, 30-year-old dwarf, due to her body type, which is so prevalent in Europe that the Vatican investigated whether or not Shirley was indeed a child at the time. And the other thing was that she didn't have missing teeth at all in her films. But the thing here was, the reality was, she was being a normal kid and losing her baby teeth, and she wore caps and dental plates, which I think that's really ridiculous for a kid, but this is the 30s. And the other thing was the teeth that she actually did have were supposedly filed down to look more like baby teeth. But no, that isn't true either. And then we have her ringlets. A lot of the claims that she was wearing a wig, and a lot of fans would yank her hair, pull her hair. I'm like, oh my god, that's gotta hurt. Shirley Temple later said that she wished all she had to do was wear a wig. The nightly process of doing the curls was tedious, and the vinegar rinsing basically hurt her, burned her eyes. And the other thing was that she wasn't a natural blonde. And during the making of the film, there was an extended scene that was going to be there, and she wasn't going to have her curls. And then during the production, she got sick and missed a couple days. And as a result, there was a false report that her hair had been cut off, which is nuts. And there's something I did not know. She did have a career in television and in radio after doing film. And the other thing that I learned a while back was that she was also a diplomat. She was according to her page here, she was a 27th U.S. ambassador to Czechoslovakia under George Bush. She was the 18th chief of protocol of the United States under Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter. She was the 9th U.S. ambassador to Ghana under Gerald Ford. And I'm not going to get into the political stuff, but she was an ambassador, and she did run for Congress at one point. And also she was married twice in her life. When she was 15, she met John Agar, and they started Fort Apache together when they were young adults. And she bore him a daughter named Linda Susan, and then the marriage ended in divorce in 1949, and Shirley Temple was awarded custody. Then she met Charles Alden Black, whom they married in a private ceremony. Unlike with John Agar, when she married him, there was like more guests there, and they were together until Charles's death in 2005. So that's another thing. And she also bore 2 more children at this point. One was Charles Jr. and the other one was Lori Black. So basically in the future she was known as Shirley Temple Black. And to take a break from here, I did have a hard time making her look a little bit more youthful, like more teenage, young adult looking, and not look old. But again, this is my sketch, my drawing of her. And yes, I did have a hard time doing her nose and like the shading placement, because again, I'm referencing a photograph, and sometimes doing a illustration and a graphic illustration like that, usually it's not going to be 100% accurate. So that's that. That's one thing there. So something I freaking found interesting was that her youngest daughter Lori was a bassist for the Melvins. I have to check that out after this video, and probably after this release I probably have already checked it out. So Shirley Temple was also a breast cancer survivor, which is another thing, and because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so she was diagnosed with it in 1972, and it was hushed up at the time. And when Shirley Temple disclosed of her diagnosis and actually surviving it, she made a significant milestone in improving breast cancer awareness, which is pretty damn interesting. And of course, she was alive into the 2000s, but again, she passed away at the age of 85, 2 months before she was to be 86 in 2014 in her home. And the cause of death was COPD, because she was a smoker, but she didn't do it publicly. She did it privately. But again, she is one of the most well-regarded child actresses of all time and received many awards, and there is a drink named after her. So anyways, the final piece is up on my DeviantArt page. Please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for notifications as I post videos like this every Fridays and Saturdays, along with Lollypop Sings and Lollypop Discusses. And don't forget to follow me on my social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and of course DeviantArt at Lollypop81MLE. And I'll see you next time!